This is the first election in modern history where more voters will vote against a candidate than for a candidate. The high negatives are absolutely amazing. What I worry about in the book is the growth of extremism and populism all over the world. I just came back from a trip, Hungary, Poland, Slovakia, Austria, rising anti-Semitism, rising nationalism, rising neo-fascism. Same thing in France. England, yesterday's New York Times is an op-ed about rising anti-Semitism on the hard left in the British Labour Party. And what I'm very worried about, and what I write about a lot in this book, is the extremes on both sides, and this new concept called intersectionality, which is making a big impact on college campuses today, which is a code word, basically, for leave the Jews out, leave Zionists out, leave conservatives out, leave Christians out. All of us offended and oppressed groups have to get together against America, Israel, etc.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
I mean, you've been a friend of the Clintons for a long time. Like,
yes.
You know them in a way that I, as a journalist, I've interviewed them, but I don't really know them.
I know them from Martha's Vineyard.
Right.
They came to Martha's Vineyard for about 20 summers.
Why don't people like Hillary Clinton?
It's shocking to me. I don't know the answer to that. I can just tell you a story. My wife is fairly close to Hillary, and one day I was at his birthday party, and there was Bill dancing with every beautiful young woman at the party. And Hillary usually stood in the corner and had a serious intellectual conversation with people. And this time she was having a conversation with my wife. I walked over and I was just the fly on the wall. And for 15 minutes they were talking about how to bring up a young woman, a daughter, because I have a daughter who's just a little bit younger than Chelsea, how to bring up a daughter in the context of parents that are well-known and controversial. And it was just such a thoughtful, such a good, such a nice conversation. So I'm shocked. I saw her most recently just 2 or 3 weeks ago, and everybody that was at the event I was at with her liked her, all of our friends. We've known her for years. But she has this differentiation between how she appears among friends and among people that she knows personally, and obviously the impression she makes in public. And I don't know what it is. I also know Donald Trump, and I've had conversations, discussions with him. He always seemed to me like a very decent guy and a very nice guy. I liked him very much. And I couldn't believe when I heard some of the things that came out of his mouth.
Were you paying attention?
I was paying attention. I was paying attention. And I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who had that view. I mean, he was a serious guy. He talked about business. He was charming. And I don't believe for 1 second that he himself personally is a bigot. I do believe that as a politician, he is not willing to give up the vote of the alt-right. He is not willing to renounce them in a way that would cause them not to vote for him. And we're seeing increases in the strength of the hard right in this country. He's put his finger on that, and he's, I think, pandering to that. But I don't think he has any bigotry himself. That may be worse, by the way, because if a person is an honest racist, really believes in this stuff, at least you have to give him the credit of honesty. But if he is himself not that, and he is simply allowing it to occur in order to win the election, that adds an additional count of hypocrisy to everything else. So, look, that's why I wrote the book, because this is a dysfunctional election. People hate both candidates. I happen to like one of the candidates, but as you know, teaching for 50 years, I didn't teach my students what to think. I taught them how to think, and this is a book about how to think about this election with a chart of 10 issues that you should check off, and that will help you decide who among the two candidates to vote for, because I think it's a waste to vote for a third-party candidate.